The Zeus Sphinx malware is back, and it's targeting people with COVID-based scams.
Hey, John, I heard you have a story on Zeus Sphinx malware.
So the Zeus Sphinx malware is actually an older strain of the Zeus malware that's been out there for probably several years now. And I want to say maybe it was even 2015 timeframe or something when the Sphinx variant of Zeus. Now, Zeus, as we probably talked about on the show a lot, it's a piece of banking malware that, the source code got out into the open source community. People started kind of respinning, making their own subversions of this malware over time. And one of the things that Zeus was kind of innovative about when it first came out way back when is that one of its techniques as a banking malware, it has kind of a configuration file in its list of all the banks that it wants to target. And if you visit one of those banks with your browser, it will inject extra forms into the browser. So it might ask, normally the browser or the website might really ask for a username and password, but they might inject additional things like social security number or some other piece of information that they think they might need. The long and short is that the Sphinx variant has kind of come back to life recently and is targeting people with coronavirus-themed phishes. So, we've seen a lot of other bad actors trying to use coronavirus as a means to recruit new victims into their botnet. So the government's going to be giving out this relief package, a certain X number of dollars, I'd say $1,000 or $1,500 or something per person is going to be, doled out to everybody in the United States, especially because people have been, put out of work and whatnot as a result of this quarantine that's been going on. So with the Zeus Sphinx malware, they've been sending out phishes that have, a variation of subject lines that'll say something like COVID-19 relief effort or things like that. They'll try to purport themselves as being an official government email. You're probably not ever really going to get an email like this from the government. People who watch this show probably know that. But in there will be a Word document that they want you to look at and fill out so that you can get your money. So their trick here is that they're trying to insinuate that unless you open this document up, you're not going to get your COVID-19 relief fund money. But this is a weaponized Word document that has some macroviruses in it, and it will download the Zeus Sphinx malware onto your laptop or your computer if you open that document. So I guess the long and short of the whole reason bringing this up is be careful. There's a lot of people out there trying to, leverage this event for their own gain. And this is just yet another way that they're doing it. And nothing in particularly new that I would say about how this piece of malware works, just that it's kind of come back to life, this particular offshoot called Sphinx. And that they're, targeting this type of campaign in order to, trick new victims into giving them their banking information and whatnot.
So, there's been a lot of these different COVID-19 and coronavirus scams going, physical scams where people come to your house, and then a lot of the stuff online scams. So it's really, it's pretty timely that they're taking advantage of all the confusion that's, taking place, and people kind of spread out from their work, and it's kind of a big change for everyone. That's it's typically that seems to always happen, but it's I guess this continues that trend.
And the worst thing about this thing is, from what I was reading recently about that stimulus check or whatever they're calling it, I don't think you even need to do anything. They just go by this year's tax return, and whether you qualify or not, that's not even in your hands. You're going to either get the check in the mail or you're not. Right. So if people would just be a little bit better informed and a little more aware, they'll know right away. But, it's a lot of people that skip the reading, I guess, and just get right down to the dollar sign.
I think in the last couple of years, there's been a rise in the scare tactics of if you don't do this, something bad's going to happen, or that you get an email from, some law enforcement or some other government and whatever. And I think typically people should be aware that if the government wants to contact you, they're not going to email you.
Right.
They'll find another way to do it. So
yeah.
I guess these emails are not getting picked up by spam filters. I mean, if they're going through, right?
Initially, probably, but I would hope that now, that this has been going on for probably a couple of weeks now, that a lot of the larger email providers out there probably are aware of it and are getting pretty reactive in blocking it. But you never know. The actors are always changing and adapting, so you want to be careful not to, fall for it if they just change it slightly enough to get through the spam filters.